as you are saying that the Fusaha language, uh, a lot of people don't speak that. I had a conversation with a friend, and he studied in Egypt, and
Uh-huh.
he was he was uh, he was speaking with someone. I mean, probably with car driver. I think, yeah, that was a car driver,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying him, "أريد أن أذهب إلى المكتبة." And
Okay.
car driver was thinking he is reading Quran. He was saying, "MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah." Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, so that's the other thing that would, I mean, at least for speaking purposes, I don't know if this is true. Maybe it's not true that much in Saudi, but maybe in the other Arabic speaking countries like Lebanon or Syria or different places like that, Egypt especially. Egypt, like I when I was going to school, um, when I got a PhD in English and I was in Tulsa, and a lot of students were from the Gulf countries because there was a big petroleum engineering school, so they were learning petroleum engineering to go back. So there was a lot of Arabs, but there was this one Egyptian guy who's doing microbiology, and oh my gosh, like his Arabic, they always it was different, and so it's a.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we have an existing guest joining us from America. Omar has been an impressive journey with the Arabic language and has learned it very well, Alhamdulillah. He has been a loyal follower of our channel for quite some time, and today he is here to share his story with us. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and leave us a review. Your feedback and support are very important for us. Now let's welcome Omar to the show. Omar, it's great to have you here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, أنا بخير. I'm doing fine.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself and why you started learning Arabic?
My name is Omar Kazmi, and I'm currently living in Orlando, Florida, and I teach English at Valencia College here in Orlando. And my interest in language has always been, since I was a child, I've been interested in languages and learning languages and writing. And I've learned several languages in the past. I've learned Spanish and Greek, and now I'm working on Arabic.
Oh, mashallah, very good. So you are an English teacher right now.
Yes, I teach writing
Great,
in English.
mashallah. Okay. So basically, you know four languages: Arabic, Spanish, and Greek, and English. But you speak English very well because you are a native English speaker.
Yes, that's correct.
Great. So, how did you start learning Arabic? Did you take classes, use the internet, or something else?
So my Arabic journey is kind of long, but the short version of it is that I was very interested. I grew up a Muslim, and the Quran is in Arabic, and I was very interested in reading and memorizing the Quran, and I wanted to understand what I was saying.
Great.
Because my background from India, a lot of people read and memorize, but they don't know the meaning of the words. So I tried at first to learn Arabic just by memorizing the translation and the words, and that got me a little bit. I could pick up certain things very, but it was not enough and wasn't complete. So someone online was offering Arabic classes, and he was trying to start a school, and so I started taking classes with him. And his Arabic, the goal of the Arabic in that was to be able to read and to translate the Quran and other religious texts. So I started learning with him, and it was a lot of grammar. It was we studied the Medina books. We studied Nahuwadi. We learned the grammar of it, and we were about to go to morphology, but then he went back to study. So I was kind of stuck, and I didn't go a lot forward. So I've been trying to pick up Arabic since then. My most recent milestone in Arabic was trying to use Duolingo to pick up Arabic and to pick up speaking, because I'm very good at translating and reading, but talking and speaking is another thing that I need to work on.
Okay, great, mashallah. And for how long have you been learning Arabic?
Uh, intentionally, I've been learning for about 4 years now.
Great, okay,
So,
great.
and
So what? Yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
And I've going online also, I found a lot of different people who wanted to teach Arabic, and I found Alaman Academy on Facebook, and their practice really helps me, especially with vocabulary and things that I wouldn't normally pick up, day-to-day words that, because if you study it in a religious context, the words are very different from, the day-to-day usage. So I do review stuff on Alaman Academy, and have found that very helpful in my journey.
Thank you. Thank you. So basically, you are enjoying the vocabulary that we are uploading every single day.
Yes, and the practice and the translations, they're all very, very helpful.
Great, mashallah. Thank you. What were some of the hardest part of learning Arabic, and how did you deal with them?
So the hardest part of learning Arabic was not going immediately to a class. Trying to do something on your own is very difficult because you don't know where
Yeah,
to start, and put uh, trying to take words and put them together is a little bit more difficult. It helped me when I actually started to try when I started trying to learn it from books, but it still was a bit difficult because I could recognize certain words but not know exactly what they meant. And the other thing was that my teacher who was teaching Arabic, um, he didn't translate the terms into English, so. Um, he didn't say this was a noun and this was an adjective and this was a verb, but he was like, this is not, and this is isma, and this is fa. So
I got
I
it.
was, that was a little bit difficult too, to try to figure out how those things
What is
worked.
not? What is sifa like that?
Yeah. So those sort of things, like was it took a little bit of time, and he did a lot of i'rab, so that was also very hard for me.
Hmm.
So, but once I figured it out, it helped a lot, at least in translation, and reading, especially if there's no harakat, or those the vowel signs in Arabic. If there's none of those, I can figure it out because I know the i'rab and the grammar a little bit better.
So learning languages means we have to practice every single day.
Yes. And that's at least for speaking, that's where my fault, in that I'm not practicing that. I'm using this more as a translation, and it really helps if you can speak it, and communicate with it, even if it's not like a dialectical Arabic.
Great. So as I can see right now, you are trying to meet with people on Facebook, and you are making your own sentences, and they are replying you.
Yes, if you give me time, I can like think of the words and create the sentence. So online, it's a lot easier for me to think of the
Exactly.
vocabulary because it's not immediate. But if I'm talking to someone directly, and there are people at the masjid, the mosques around here, that speak Arabic that I technically can practice with, but I get shy because they speak fast, and when you speak slow,
Actually,
it's
when we speak a language, new language, I mean, so we don't think too much about the language. Just we have to focus on speaking. Doesn't matter we are speaking right or wrong. For example,
yeah.
uh, I'm talking to a male person, and I want to say, where are you from? Min aina anta?
Uh-huh.
And I make mistake. Min aina anti? Doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
No problem. It's okay. The most important thing, you have to
Yeah.
speak. If you don't speak, and every time You think that I'm shy, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't speak. So you will not able to speak. Never.
Yes, that's true. That is very
Yeah.
true.
Have you able to spend time in Arabic speaking communities or visit Arabic speaking countries? How did that help your learning?
So I made Umrah three about three times, and I performed Hajj once. So I went to Saudi Arabia several times since I started learning Arabic. But it was kind of a struggle there because first of all, English is becoming more popular there,
Yeah.
and so it doesn't force you. You can find someone that speaks English or Urdu or even Malaysian. There's people that speak different languages there, and so you don't find yourself forcing yourself to practice, and that's one of the problems I had. Again, is that when I know I can say it in a different language, I go to that language, and English is usually my best language, so I go back
Mm.
to doing English. But it's very helpful to see everything in Arabic, all the signs in Arabic, being able to read them and to translate. And inshallah, if I have a chance to go back, I feel I'm a little bit better. I will try communicating more in Arabic and getting myself into those situations where I have to speak, and try to practice in that regard so that I can get much better at it. So it
Yeah.
becomes second nature.
But if we speak in their local language, they happy, they happy,
Yeah.
and they
Yes.
treat well. They treat well like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. If someone comes
Yeah.
from, a different country and they try to speak English, then people are nicer generally. They try to help them out and they're happier with it rather than them trying to just speak their own language.
Yeah.
Even
If
if I
we,
knew.
yeah, exactly. If we speak their local language, so they treat well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Can you share any memorable moments or important milestones in your Arabic learning journey?
Um, there one moment that comes to mind, which was the first time I went for Umrah, um, when my Arabic was very, very fresh, and wasn't very good. Um, there was someone who was lost in the Haram. We were in Mecca, and they were lost around the Kaaba, and they were from India. So, and I was dressed in similar clothes like now, the shalwar qamis, the kurta pajama, the language, the dress from there. So one of the Saudi police officers or the army officials, he called me over, um, and he started to talk to me in Arabic because he didn't know English, but he was trying to tell me that this lady was lost, and to try to so he called me specifically over, and he was speaking to me in Arabic, and I was very confused, but eventually someone that I was with in the party, my mother-in-law, figured out what was going on, and she directed the lady to the hotel where her husband was. But it was just a moment where it's like it became very because it became very important to me to be able to speak, because if someone's calling you over and you can't communicate with them, it becomes very difficult, and it's very hard to move forward. And it could help someone that in that case that person was lost, and if I had known Arabic and could translate between the two languages, to help the police officer, it would have been a much better situation. So that's one memorable moment that I can think of off the top of my head.
That's why I was saying, if we able to speak their local language, so they treat well and they
Yeah.
can understand well.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
very true.
So how have you used your Arabic skills in real life situations?
So, in real life situations, most of my day-to-day situations are in reading the Quran or reading something in Arabic, related, like the Hadith or the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or something like that. So, on a day-to-day basis, that's where most of my Arabic is. or sometimes it's like very, very light or casual conversations with someone in the masjid, speaking with them. They'll say kayfa halak, and they'll say alhamdulillah, ana bi khair. Those sorts of, just very basic things. So that's mostly my day-to-day Arabic. I've been trying online mostly to try to talk Arabic. I've added a keyboard in my cell phone for the Arabic language keyboard so I can switch between English and Arabic and type Arabic and try to read in Arabic and translate it myself before going to a dictionary, going online to Google and seeing it. So those are the basic day-to-day Arabic practice that I do. I recently learned that it takes about 100,000 repetitions for you to become
Mm.
fluent in a language. So I'm going to try now going forward to try to create sentences and translate them and speak them, and try to do that more and more often so that it becomes more natural for me to speak.
So I suggest you that, I mean, the sentences that you learn on our Facebook page, you can use that with the people who can speak Arabic. Like for
Yeah.
example, you go to the mosque to pray, you go to the market, and if you find someone, some native Arabic speaker or someone who can speak Arabic, so just remember the word, remember the sentence, and try to speak that.
Yeah, that's very good advice that I think I should start
So
taking
day
into.
by day, you will see that you have a lot of structures and sentences and vocabs. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Have you found any unique or different ways that helped you learn Arabic better?
I don't know. I haven't found anything. I've like I mentioned earlier, I've tried to Duolingo to try to practice, but I've done that so much that it's become repetitive. They've only have a certain set number of examples, and I've memorized those examples.
Mm.
So when I translate or something like that, it's like it becomes second nature in that regard, and I can say those things very quickly. But it's not. It's their Duolingo's goal is to teach someone who's traveling into the country or something like that. So it's not. There's not that much in there for me to practice with someone in a conversational level. So that's something I need to work on. But aside from that, I mean, it's just I think going over the grammar and learning the Arab really early was maybe different from most people who want to learn Arabic. I think most people that want to learn it will try to learn speaking first and then. But my entry point was to learn it for religious reasons. So
Okay.
the grammar mattered more to me, and I think that's a little bit different and unique than most people.
If you want to learn Arabic to understand the Quran, so the grammar is most important for it.
Yeah, I think because the Quran, the vocabulary isn't, it's not, there's, I can't remember exactly. I read somewhere that there's, you know, maybe about 3,000 different words or something like that in the Quran. So you can learn those words, but it's not, there's much more to the language and explaining the language and understanding the language because the Quran is focused on a certain thing, a certain goal. So that's you can not learn much of the language and still understand miraculously a lot of the Quran. So I think that's but I to understand people writing about the Quran, to understand in depth, to have a deeper knowledge and a deeper understanding of the religion, you have to be fluent. It's
Yes,
most of the language and most of the
it
knowledge is
must.
still in.
It must.
Yeah.
So how does learning Arabic compare to learning other languages? What special challenges or benefits did you find?
So I have an interesting comparison because I learned a language that's very common, especially in the United States, Spanish. Spanish is very common here. A lot of people come from Mexico, from Cuba, and from other Spanish-speaking countries. Puerto Rico's. So most things here are written in English and Spanish. You know, when you call people on the phone, they have. So there's a lot of opportunities to practice, but I also learned Spanish in school. In high
Okay.
school, I learned Spanish. So that was very structured, and I learned it very quickly. And I could practice it with people. So, and it was very useful because there's people, you know, a lot of people speak Spanish, and it's very useful to know it. Um, and then I learned when I went to college, I learned ancient Greek. And that's a very hard language to learn, and it's a different alphabet, and nobody really speaks it. In Greece, they speak Greek, but it's not the same as learning ancient Greek. So Arabic is in between.
Hmm.
Arabic is a very common language. You know, there's a lot of countries, I think 1/5 of the world speaks Arabic. And there's a lot of countries that speak Arabic, and it's a very valuable language. But it's also Fusha Arabic, you know, the classical Arabic is also something most people don't speak. Most Arab speakers, they don't speak it. And
Yes.
my teacher who's teaching me Quran, who's in Egypt, he says that if you went to Egypt, for instance, and started speaking Fusha, people would laugh at you because that's not how they speak over there. You know, it's very
Yes.
correct language, and so they have their own dialect. And so, you know, learning Arabic is kind of in between that because you can easily make it something where it's like Greek, where you just study it for one purpose, a religious purpose, translation purposes, or you can use it to communicate with people. And so it's a very interesting and a different language in that regard for me, especially. It may not apply for people who are learning Arabic who are non-Muslim, or learning Arabic for other reasons, business reasons. But for me, it's like it's both of those. It's ancient Greek and it's Spanish. It's in between. It's right in the middle of those two things for
Yeah.
me.
As you are saying that the Fusha language, uh, a lot of people don't speak that. I had a conversation with a friend, and he studied in Egypt, and
Uh-huh.
he was he was uh, he was speaking with someone. I mean, probably with car driver. I think, yeah, that was a car driver,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying him, "أريد أن أذهب إلى المكتبة." And
Okay.
car driver was thinking he is reading Quran. He was saying, "MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah." Allah Akbar.
Yeah, so that's the other thing that would, I mean, at least for speaking purposes, I don't know if this is true. Maybe it's not true that much in Saudi, but maybe in the other Arab speaking countries like, you know, Lebanon or you know, Syria or different places like that, Egypt especially. Egypt, like when I was going to school, um, when I got a PhD in English and I was in Tulsa, and a lot of students were from the Gulf countries because there was a big petroleum engineering school, so they were learning petroleum engineering to go back. So there was a lot of Arabs, but there was this one Egyptian guy who was doing microbiology, and oh my gosh, like his Arabic, they always it was different, and so it's a you know there was always a conflict on speaking and understanding based on the dialect. So that's another thing that prevents me because if I go to a country that has a heavy dialect and I try to speak what I know, which is from books, it's will be funny like that. So that also makes me more shy.
So, as I can understand, Egyptian people don't speak the Fusha, except
No.
of Egypt, like Saudi and Emirate in Emirates and Kuwait, Qatar. They speak Fusha. They
Oh,
speak
they do?
Fusha because I have a lot of friends from the different countries, from like Egypt and Kuwait and Jazair, Saudi, and a lot of countries. So they speak Fusha, Alhamdulillah. But in Egypt, as you are saying, that they don't able to speak Fusha very well. But
Okay.
if you learn in the university, you can speak over there like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah. But the official language of each Arabian country, this is the Fusha. I mean,
okay.
modern standard Arabic.
Okay.
Yeah, because I went to Emirates last time. So I was speaking with Fusha. They were able to understand me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good for me to keep in mind that
Yeah. But in Egypt, completely different.
yeah.
Like ismak A, it means masmak, and
Yeah.
بتحب تفطر A, completely different. ماذا تريد ماذا تريد أن تفطر.
Oh, you want to eat breakfast?
Yeah,
Or
what do you want in the
oh, what do you eat for
breakfast?
breakfast? Yeah, yeah.
بتحب تفطر A, and ماذا تريد أن تفطر في الفصحى. In the
Uh,
فصحى we say ماذا تريد أن تفطر, and in Egypt بتحب تفطر A, completely different.
yeah. And their hada is just da at the end of
Yes, and they don't say
it's-
Jim.
yeah. So
Jamil,
those are
Jamil.
it's go ahead.
They don't say Jim also. Like we speak Jamil Jiddan, and they
Yeah.
say Gamil, Gamil,
Yeah. Yeah.
Gain instead of Jim, Gamil.
Yeah.
And what about your Spanish? Like I have a student from Spain, and
Yeah.
I learned a word from him, muy
Uh-huh.
bien. What does it
Yeah.
mean? Muy bien,
This means very good.
muy bien.
Muy
Like
bien.
in Arabic, mumtaz. In
Yeah.
English, very good. In Spanish, muy bien.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting to learn Arabic?
so my advice is to just jump in as best as you can. Just go for it. Um, and learn uh, because the practicing is always the fastest way to learn. And having spent most of my time studying Arabic from books and not really practicing speaking and putting it into language, it's taken me a lot longer to get to where I am if than if I just went and started speaking to people and like insisting on people that I know who speak Arabic that I talk with them only in Arabic and try to restrict myself in that way so that I'm practicing more and using the words that I know more and building my vocabulary and understanding. If I just jumped into it and tried a little bit harder, I think it would have been a lot faster for me to pick up the language. That's
So
what I would
basically,
tell.
at the very yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
No, that's basically what I would tell someone who's picking up, just to
Okay.
just to go for it. Try to not be shy because shyness is what really prevents us from learning sometimes. So it's that's what I would say.
So at the very beginning, in my opinion, he has to start with the teacher
Yes.
because he don't know anything about the language. So that's why he has to start with a teacher who can teach him everything like haraka, sounds of the Arabic alphabet, and how to connect, and how to write Arabic, how to read Arabic, and then he has to practice.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I grew up reading. I kind of had the alphabet and like connecting letters and stuff. I already learned how to do that, so I already had that basis. But even though I didn't know the language, so but someone who doesn't, if they have to learn the alphabet from the beginning and stuff, then yes, they definitely need a teacher. And they definitely should try out Alaman Academy and
Thank you.
as a way of getting into that because it really helps if you have a certain goal, like if you want to speak for business, then it helps to have that goal and keep that in mind because that's another motivation for you to speak faster and learn faster.
Okay. So I have to ask about the podcast. Like, what do you think about the podcast? Here we are trying to explore the Arabic stories, so it can be motivated for those
Yeah.
learners who are struggling.
Yes, I believe that's really helpful. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm volunteering and doing this. That I think it's helpful for me to review what I'm learning, why I'm learning it, to get advice. You gave some very, very good advice. that I should start implementing, and learning, having someone else, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are just as shy, if not more shy than me, with regard to speaking another language, especially when, like for me, I know English very, very well. So I can say, and I mean, if not mastered, I'm pretty close to mastering the language, and I can express myself very, very well in English. Um, and to not be able to do that in another language is also something that prevents, because I'm thinking something, right? I know what I want to say, but I don't have the words, the vocabulary, the grammar, the idioms, like all that stuff to say it in the other language. And so that becomes a turning point. And just to have someone know that, there's someone who's in that same position, and there are other people that are learning and they're trying, that could be a very good motivator for someone to learn the language, and to try to practice. Because when there's other people like you, you tend to feel less bad and less shy.
Yeah, because my intention of the podcast that we have a lot of people, they are learning Arabic, and
Yes.
when they explore their experiences and their stories, so that can be helpful for learners.
Yes, that's
Yes.
very true.
Okay.
Um,
So thank you for coming here. It was very nice to talk to you. And inshallah, we will meet again soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a
Welcome,
pleasure to
welcome.
share my
Assalamu
experience.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.